Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. I hope you guys are all having a good weekend so far. Today we are getting straight into things. We have a tactical preview of Manchester United's FA Cup quarter-final clash against Fulham. A game which on paper looks like it could be quite difficult. I mean, if we're talking about their league positions in the Premier League at the moment, Fulham are doing very well. So it looks like it could be a really difficult game for Manchester United. And to an extent, I think it will be. However, as a United fan, I'm actually quite confident that United should win this game. So today I want to talk about, where that confidence is coming from. Is it misguided? Let's have a look. Let's take a look at Fulham's setup, how United can hurt it, things like that. What are Fulham going to try to do on the ball? All of that good stuff. So let's get straight into it. Because Fulham are a team that have some good principles. They have principles which, to an extent, reflect what the top teams do, what the elite teams do in football at the moment. However, they reflect it, they don't carbon copy it, and there are flaws in it. They're trying the principles of a top team, but there's certain things which they haven't developed yet. And it leaves them potentially exposed to dangerous football. So let's take a look at how it will play out. So Fulham will look to play the ball out from the back initially. And to do this, they will move into a 2-1 shape like this, with Palinha basically forming a single pivot role by himself in front of the two centre-backs. And instantly, United could have some success here. I think if United go man-for-man in the midfield, which they so often do, the wingers go man-to-man with the full-backs, and then Weghorst just splits the two centre-backs, then I think United can see turnovers. Because Fulham, whilst, this is the shape that they use, the players on the ball aren't great. Particularly, Leno in goal. He's not a great ball-playing goalkeeper. He's okay, but he's not great. And also Ream is not very good on the ball at all. He's certainly not a ball-playing defender. So if United let him have the ball and kind of use this as the trigger for Weghorst to come across, I think United could see some turnovers in some really dangerous areas. So, when it comes to watching this game, watch out for this. United winning the ball back high in the press. And then obviously, if United do win the ball back in these areas, you've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Sancho, Rashford, Weghorst, who can get into some really dangerous positions. So United could score from this. It's certainly something to keep an eye on. Now, despite this, there will obviously be situations where Fulham, play through the press. That always happens at this level because you have quality players, particularly with someone like Palinha. So Fulham will have spells of possession. And again, this is where we see one of their principles of, good possession football. Now, ignore the fact that I've got the two defensive lines so deep. It's just to make the pitch clear enough. Obviously, it will be much higher than this, but I want to make it presentable for you guys. So in terms of, from this area, if Fulham are able to get on the ball, again, they have some good principles. They like to play in a 2-3-5 with two centre-backs and then three of the two full-backs and the solo pivot. And then we've got kind of 2 3-8s who are given the licence to get forward and kind of shuttle up and down the pitch. And as we can see, that can create a 2-3-5 when they get into dangerous positions. However, again, if we just look, there is something that they do differently with their 2-3-5 to what the truly elite teams do. So yes, top teams do use this shape. However, look at the Fulham fullbacks. They play very, very wide, which means that if the ball is turned over, again in these dangerous areas, with United going man-for-man in the press with Sabitzer, Fred and Bruno Fernandes, if United can kind of overturn the ball here, there are these gaps either side of Palinha, which are often left gaping, to be honest. Now, if we compare that to what the top teams do, they use their fullbacks much more central, because it means that they're able to kind of cover turnovers and provide that protection for the defence. So again, this is an area where United can hurt Fulham. Turning the possession over in the middle of the pitch and then quickly playing, Fulham have their fullbacks wide, they could be exposed. And this is why I think United can hurt Fulham by actually letting them have the ball at times and let them kind of come out and try and play and then hit them on the counter-attack. In terms of in possession, I think one threat which Fulham might really present is the long ball. We know that Mitrovic is an excellent target man, a real physical number 9 that you can go up to. He's going to hold the ball up with his chest. Players like Reed, Pereira, Palinha are good at getting on the second ball, so United will need to be aware of that. However, with only one player in Mitrovic up against two Manchester United centre-backs, I think again United should be able to deal with it. I think if one goes in front, one goes behind, they should kind of be able to deal with it as long as they get on the second ball in midfield. So in general, I think United should be able to defend reasonably comfortably in this game. I think there's a real potential to win the ball back and hurt this Fulham team, but also I think United can cause problems in sustained possession as well. So when Fulham don't have the ball, we can see a high press from them. There will be situations where the wingers come really high onto the fullbacks and try and put them under pressure. However, it's not something that we see a ton of, we don't see it all the time. Instead, they prefer to sit off in a bit more of a 4-4-1-1. Now, again, they're still playing a much higher defensive line than what we've got on screen here, but again, for presentation reasons, I'm not going to do that, just so you can see the pitch a bit clearer. However, the fact that it's a 1-1 rather than a 2 makes me think that United should be able to play through it. Because basically, when you're pressing with one striker, you are giving the centre-backs the licence to step forward. And I think, Lisandro Martinez and Varane stepping forward with the ball are going to be much more effective than what Ream is for Fulham. Lisandro Martinez in particular, very, very good when he steps forward with the ball. But to an extent, Fulham kind of invite that. And their idea, basically, is to force you one way, which is what Mitrovic will do. He'll play between the centre-backs, and then they kind of use that as the locking point to then kind of shift over, force you one side, use the touchline as one of the defenders, and make it really difficult. So if this ball does go wide from Lisandro Martinez to Shaw, Fulham will then use this as the press. The winger will come on to Shaw, the fullback will be on Rashford, we'll see the midfielders shift across in one way or another, probably something like this. And, that could make life very difficult for Manchester United. Now, however, again, this is a principle which we do see from some good teams. We've seen it from top teams in the past few years. But again, Fulham do it a little bit differently to what the top teams do. Now, what the top teams tend to do when they defend in this way, if we talk about Newcastle, for example, is we will see the winger on the far side come in on this centre-back. So now Shaw on the ball literally has no option in possession, right? However, what Fulham do is keep that winger much deeper, which means that Varane is the free man. And this pass here, when Shaw steps forward with the ball, is certainly one that he is capable of playing. More than capable. Any player can play this pass. So, again, this is where United could have some success. Fulham are flawed in their approach at times. So you can kind of drag Fulham to one side, and now if Rafael Varane is willing to quickly step forward and be aggressive with his first touch, carry the ball forward, which, we've seen him do this season, United can create overloads. Because now they can work either a 4-3-3 down this side here, or Wan-Bissaka can get the ball, and you can draw players out of position. If United are able to suck Fulham into one side and then go out the other way, exposing the fact that the winger is too deep, United could quickly progress the ball forward. And this is where you can go in between the lines to Sancho, and then Bruno Fernandes can get the wrong side of the midfield. And again, United can turn a situation where they've been pressed into a situation where they are quickly now at the Fulham back line. United could also have some success building through the middle as well, simply because of the fact that Fulham are only using two players to kind of press, but they're not doing it as a front two, they're doing it as a 1 and a 1. So again, Lisandro Martinez does have this potential to step inside, or there can be combination play, perhaps popping off a pass to Sabitzer, who lays it off to the other centre-back. And I think the real potential here is for the United defenders to step forward, not only out wide, like we were looking at a second ago, but also through the middle of the pitch. And what this then does is momentarily, if Mitrovic is a little bit slow to get back, it does give you this 4 versus 3 in the middle of the park. And again, this is something which United can really expose. We've seen it in a few games recently, where when United have the extra midfielder in there, they cause real problems. And again, I think Lisandro Martinez in particular could really do that. And again, I think it gives you Fulham defence. If this is happening and United are getting the wrong side of the Fulham midfield and getting into some dangerous positions, United also have the natural advantage and overload of having a front 5 up against a back 4. And this is why I think United should use a 2-3-5. Because I think this front 5 up against a Fulham back 4 is really going to cause problems. So I want to look at kind of quickly a bit of evidence of what this means, because I talk about it a lot. However, I think in this game, more than most, United can really hurt the Fulham back 4, simply because Fulham don't tend to drop the extra defender in. Some teams will drop a winger, Solomon or Reed, really deep to try and deal with this. Fulham don't tend to do that. They do tend to stick with their back 4. So if United can get this front 5 going forward, then they could cause real problems. Now, the important thing to highlight before we look at it is they have to be cleaner on the ball, United, than what they have been recently. They have to take care on the ball, look after the ball, much better than what they have recently. If they can get into some real good situations, which we'll look at now. So to see a perfect example of this front 5 hurting a back 4, all we have to do is go back to Fulham's game last weekend against Arsenal, where they were comfortably beaten 3-0. And as we can see, Arsenal were very comfortable in this game. They won 3-0 and just completely battered Fulham. But what they really done was utilise this 5 versus 4 situation. And we can see this by using Once Video Analyzer Pro, a really good football video analysis software, which you guys can check out using the link in the description down below. I really do highly recommend it. It makes football analysis so easy. And what it's going to allow us to do here is kind of see this situation. So we can see Fulham here. We've got back 4. And we can see just instantly it's going to be an issue for them. Now, yes, this is a slightly more transitional situation, but you still get the idea of what a 5 versus 4 does to a team and kind of the overloads it allows you to create, what it's going to do to a team, because it's just so difficult for a team to deal with. So let's mark these 5 Arsenal players here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the problem that this is going to cause essentially for Fulham is that Arsenal have the spare man in the channel. So we've got this channel here, 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 and then also this space out here. And basically what we can see is that Bukayo Saka up here is going to be the free man in the attack, and that's clearly a problem for Anthony Robinson. because he is now dealing with 2 players, which is very difficult for anyone to do, especially when they are this quality. And we can see as the attack plays out here, the ball gets worked down the left-hand side, but again, let's check out Robinson. He is outnumbered. These 2 at the back lurking. It's a 2 versus 1. As soon as this ball comes into the box, he's going to have a problem. And we can see the whole way, this whole attack, he's constantly checking his shoulder, constantly looking over his shoulder, trying to assess the situation, knowing he is outnumbered. And then what happens here is the ball comes into the box, we can look at his body shape. If we zoom in on his body shape here, we can see that he is just being distracted by these 2 players on the edge of the box. Because this whole time, this whole attack, he's been looking, going, I'm outnumbered here, it's 2 versus 1. But what this then does, is it means that he kind of loses concentration of the player in front of him. And look at this gap that now opens up in here. This gap here is too big. And Martinelli is laughing in this space because he's in a really good position, but still Arsenal have these 2 players at the back. The ball is going to come into the box, and Robinson doesn't get close enough to Martinelli because he was so worried about the spare men at the back. It's not great defensively, but it comes from Arsenal overloading this area, and Manchester United can do something very, very similar. We also saw something a little bit similar on the 3rd goal as well. It's not quite as clear-cut on this occasion. Again, it is a transitioning scenario, and we've got Fulham defending with a back 4. You know, that's how they always defend in these areas. They always have this back 4. They don't tend to drop the extra defender in. But here, again, Arsenal have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. And again, a 5 versus 4 means that someone's picking up 2 players. And obviously that's a problem. Defending 2 players in your own box is very difficult to do. I wouldn't want to do it, and Fulham don't have the level of the players to do it. So what happens here, as we just saw there, was this kind of ball gets played from Martinelli to Trossard. And again, it happens because of the overload. They've got the spare man, so it's 2 versus 1 in this area. And then it's going to allow this ball into the box. So first of all, the 2 versus 1 has happened down this side. The Fulham defender has been taken out of the game, the fullback, because of this 2 versus 1. And it's going to allow the ball, once again, to come into the box. And if we look at the back post, here he is. Odegaard is ready for it. Arsenal are just outnumbering Fulham in these areas. And it allows Odegaard to get the ball. He does a really nice bit of work, takes the ball down and puts it into the back of the net. And that is how Arsenal used the 5 versus 4, and Manchester United can do something very similar by using a similar system. So that is how they should approach the attacking setup. So we saw there that if Manchester United are able to create that front 5 up against the back 4, they could cause some real problems. And with everything else that we've already looked at in this video, I genuinely think that if United are strong, sharp and composed on the ball, they have a real chance of winning this game. And like I said right at the start, I'm quite confident, and now you guys have seen why. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you confident heading into this game? Are there some problems which I haven't looked at which might occur during the game? What would your starting 11 be? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the match. And I will see you in the next one.